At the end, yeah. It was different. It definitely took a little bit of time for me to kind of just like settle down, and that's kind of what I kept telling myself. Just do the simple things, and it's definitely a different experience when you come in, when you come in like that. So.
Was there something familiar though about seeing the Steelers on the other side of the ball?
It's crazy, man. How many times I've played against them at this point. Big Ben was in the house today too. He saw him pregame, and Mike's over there. He'll be over there forever. So definitely a little bit of that familiarity, seeing those jerseys across the way.
How satisfying drive you had, 3 third-down conversions?
Yeah, the third down conversions, were huge. I think I hit Pitt on the first one, hit Josh on the next one. That was the huge one. The huge thing about that is kind of their whole line kind of went to the left and just kind of left that whole right side open. And it made it a nice, easy throw for me because instead of having to throw it from the pocket and throw it over to my right and over top of a guy, I could kind of just hit him right in the chest. But Josh ended up being huge, late in that game, just on the little option routes we were giving him underneath. We didn't hit him on that last drive. I was looking for him again, but before that, he did an awesome job. I think everybody came up big. That's what you got to do. When you're me, when you kind of come in and you get thrown in those situations, you just trust your guys to do the right thing, and and see what happens at the end.
How satisfying.
Pittman and Downslow talked about how they want to get their seasons going. So just how encouraging was it to see them kind of rise to this moment and be as consistent as they were?
Yeah, listen, we're still early in the year. Everybody wants to be a part of it. That's the nature of this league. You got so many good players. The ball can only go so many places. Trying to figure out who you are and what you do best and all those things. So like I said, it's still early in the season, so you understand everybody's feelings with that. But at the same time, we just got to kind of let it settle in and let things happen. And you never know where it's going to go. So I think those guys, it's all for good. Everybody wants to be a part of it, and the more you can get those guys rolling, the more the confidence kind of just starts to move up, and everybody feeds off of that. So that's why I would say it is important at some point to kind of get everybody, all your playmakers involved, but it's still early.
How do you think you're able to develop some synergy with Josh and Pitt and those guys when you don't get a ton of reps with them all the time?
You just see the guy and you hit him. That's what you do. You can't overthink it. It's football. And I think everybody's personality is a little bit different. So some guys love to think about every little thing and everything that can go right, everything that can go wrong, and that's how they play best. That's how they stay locked in. I think my personality probably lends itself decent to this type of situation because, yeah, it's like don't overthink it, don't overdo it. It's just a game of football. Go out there, if the guy's open, throw it to him and hit him. Just keep it simple.
You come in as a backup, you've always got to be ready because you don't know. Are you more ready with KR with the injury possibilities or not?
No, it's impossible to be more ready or even really ready. It's just like such a you do. I've played a lot of games in this league. You definitely start to appreciate the guy that's backed you up because it's not easy. You're over there the whole entire game just wondering what's going to happen in the next play, what's going to happen in the next play. When you're the guy, you just go out there, you play, you don't think about anything. You don't think about that. And you don't get the reps. So, like I said, you can't overthink it. There's going to be a big part of you that is in your head for a certain portion of it, especially like when you see him on the ground. Obviously, he's not feeling good. He's hurt. It's your heart rate. I'm glad I'm not wearing some kind of heart rate monitor because I would not want you guys to see what happens to it in that situation. It's just one of those things where you have to kind of go back to the basics and let everything else take care of itself.
Then he's out, and then he's back in.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
even crazier.
Yeah, I like I said, at that point, at that point at least I'd been thrown in there and was ready for anything. I kind of got over that first play and all those things. So now it was just kind of like the second time I went back in there, it probably wasn't quite as excited as the first. So.
You've played a long time. I'm sure you've taken some hits and had to maybe leave a game. But just what's that like when you maybe aren't feeling great? You want to get back out there. What's that balance like? Just that urge mentally.
Listen, I think everybody wants to get back out there. So it's always going to be, it's always going to be tough when you can't. I don't want to be in his head right now because it's tough when you can't go out there and compete the way you want to. But listen, he's young, he's tough, so, he's thinking the right things. Yeah, I mean, you saw him on the sideline, and he was still super involved in the game, getting everybody going, so that was exciting to see.
Joe, you handed the Steelers their first loss, and we talked all week about how great this defense was, but what can a win like this do for the rest of the season for this team?
Listen, you really do have to take each week individually in this league. There's really not much correlation. I mean, when you get on a roll, you can obviously get on a roll, but I kind of alluded to it a little bit earlier. It's still early. It's still so early in the season, 4 weeks in. We're still trying to figure things out both ways, deal with what we have to deal with, and then go out there and get a victory. So there's definitely a positive when you get wins and you can stack them and guys start to feel confident, because you will play better based off of that. But, it's only the second one. We can't get too excited. We got to stay, kind of just go back to the drawing board, prepare the way we always have, and, trust that that's going to go take care of the job.
Is there something to be said for being the backup for a guy like Richardson, who the way he plays, he's so physical. He gets knocked out of games almost half the time. Now, what is it like for you? That's just the numbers.
Yeah, I don't know. I try not to think about it. I just go through the week, prepare the way I know how to prepare. You're obviously not going to get the reps, so it's never going to be quite the same. But you're not thinking about that kind of thing. You're just, like I said, just kind of going through the emotional roller coaster of being on the sideline and watching every play. And but that, I don't think it matters who's quarterback. That's kind of what in my experience as a quarterback, a backup quarterback, you're always kind of, trying to stay ready and stay calm at the same time.